There's something more unsettling than regret. It's returning to someone you once left and realizing the door is no longer open the same way. Because sometimes she does come back. Not loudly, not dramatically, not with tears and long apologies, but quietly. A late-night message, a soft, "Hey, how have you been?" A reaction to your story, a random memory she just remembered. And most men misunderstand this moment. They think love returned, but psychologically, what's happening is more complex. She isn't always chasing romance. She's checking emotional access. Are you still available? Do you still respond quickly? Is she still your emotional home? Because if she is, then she never truly lost you. But something has changed. When she left, you were emotionally open. You explained. You tried to fix. You wanted clarity. You felt deeply. Now, you feel, but you don't chase. You care, but you don't cling. You respond, but you don't overextend. And that subtle shift, it unsettles her. Here's why. The first time she left, she had psychological leverage. She knew you were attached. She knew you still wanted it. She knew you hadn't detached. Now, when she reaches out again, she expects familiarity. But instead, she feels composure. She senses space. She notices you're not trying to impress her anymore. And that's when the dynamic flips. Let's go deeper. There's something called attachment recalibration. When someone who once depended emotionally stops depending, the brain registers it as loss of control. Not control in a manipulative sense, control in a familiarity sense. She was used to your warmth being guaranteed. Now it feels earned. And earning something that was once automatic creates anxiety. You don't ask her where she's been. You don't question her silence. You don't demand explanation. You're calm. And calmness from someone who once cared loudly feels like distance, not coldness, distance. And emotional distance from someone who once loved deeply feels permanent. That permanence is what scares her, because now the fear shifts. It's no longer, did I make the right choice? It becomes, did I permanently lose a man who would have chosen me long term? And here's where it becomes even more subtle. She starts testing emotional temperature, longer conversations, slight vulnerability, hints about loneliness, mentions of how dating hasn't been fulfilling. She's not always trying to restart the relationship. She's trying to measure, do I still matter to him the same way? But here's the problem. You've evolved. Not bitter, not angry, just clearer. You no longer see her through nostalgia. You see her through pattern recognition. And pattern recognition kills fantasy. Now imagine the moment she realizes this. She feels your steadiness. She notices you don't overreact. She senses you're okay without her. That's when regret transforms into insecurity. Because growth without her involvement feels like being replaced by your own evolution. And nothing triggers deeper anxiety than realizing you lost someone who didn't break after losing you. Sometimes she pulls back again, not because she doesn't feel anything, but because now she fears rejection. Before, she rejected you. Now she's unsure if you would reject her, and ego protects itself. It's easier to disappear again than risk hearing, "I've moved on." Now, here's the part most men don't understand. The power was never in making her come back. The power was in becoming someone who doesn't need her return. Because once a good man truly heals, he doesn't operate from emotion alone. He operates from alignment. He asks, does she bring peace? Does she show growth? Does she match the man I've become? Not, do I miss her? That's maturity, and maturity changes the entire dynamic. If part 1 was about her internal fear, part 2 is about your transformation. Because the real psychological shift happens when she realizes you didn't stay stuck in the version of yourself she left, you upgraded. And now, re-entering your life is no longer automatic, it's conditional. And conditional access to someone once guaranteed is one of the most humbling experiences a person can face. So if she ever returns, stay steady. Not to punish, not to prove a point, but because your growth wasn't a strategy, it was survival, and survival turned into strength, and strength doesn't beg to be chosen, it evaluates.